It feels like every time I call a play action pass in College Football 25, I face pressure way quicker than regular pass plays. But is that actually real, and can we prove that, or am I just bad at play action? Well, to get to the bottom of it, I manually timed to the millisecond how long it took for a quarterback to get sacked on 77 random plays. So by the end of this video, you're gonna know if you get pressured quicker on play action passes or regular passes. Oh, and let's start with a bonus graph. How long it took for the quarterback to be sacked by formation. So the dots in the background are the actual data points, but those big rectangles that have different colors, that's kind of the typical length of time it took from the time the ball was snapped to the time that the first defender made the first contact with the QB. So yeah, this is a bonus graph because we don't need it to answer our original question, but I did find it pretty interesting that both singleback and pistol looked like on average you lasted a little bit longer before you got sacked than the gun. But okay, back to the core question. What gets you sacked quicker, play action or regular pass plays? Now I wanted to make sure that we tested this in as statistically a valid way as possible, so I had to make a couple big assumptions. First of all, I didn't want the results to be skewed by any single playbook, so this was random pass plays from the multiple offense against random defensive plays and formations from the multiple defense. Sure, you might get unlucky and you might face the blitz against 3 straight play action plays, but I'm hoping over the course of 77 plays, the randomness kind of evens out. But another more difficult thing to account for is my ability as a player, because I'm biased here. I am rarely calling play action plays, so I think I might just be worse at having a good pocket presence on play action plays because I'm never running them. So rather than trying to just stand in the pocket and use the left stick and be as good as possible, what we did was not touch the quarterback at all. The quarterback would drop back on every play to whatever depth the game actually designed that QB to drop to, and then they would just stand there until somebody made the tackle. In other words, we are timing how long it takes from the time the ball is snapped to the instant that the first defender makes contact to begin the sack process. So what do we actually see? Well, for starters, on average, it took the defense only 3.2 seconds to go from the time the ball is snapped to starting the sack. Granted, I was playing with a limited offensive line if you're familiar with the Air Force Air Raid, but what shocked me was how big of a gap there was between the play action passes and the regular passes. But it was not the way I expected. So that blue box represents how long it took most of the time for a defender to make the sack on regular passes. And the yellow up there is for play action. That means it took 2.8 seconds on average to get sacked in regular passes, but I didn't get sacked until almost 3.8 seconds on play action passes. And I won't bore you with the details, but sometimes sample size comes up on this channel, but let me just say the basic statistical test that you use to make sure that this is statistically significant did pan out. In plain English, that means after accounting for both the size of the difference and also the size of our sample, we are very confident that this was not due to random chance over those 77 plays. Now, there is a totally fair critique here. Play action passes tend to have more people around to block, right? Like if you think about the typical play action pass, it's much more likely that you are doing this in the goal line or in an I formation or in somewhere with an extra tight end than regular passes. Because if you're faking a run, you're more likely to have people needed to run the ball in the first place. So I totally get it if somebody says, hey, you are lasting longer on play actions right now because all your play action plays were more likely to have an extra tight end or an extra fullback. And with extra blockers should come extra time before you get sacked, right? Well, check this out. For every single formation group, it took longer to get sacked with play action than without. I bet that number would be better even for I formation plays as well, but I guess the multiple offense didn't have any regular I formation passing plays. But I mean, these results are just wild to me, how big of a gap there is and how it's consistent across the pistol, the singleback, and shotgun. So we know that I was way wrong, right? Like I thought the opposite was happening, but I think I have a feeling why. Now this is just a hunch, but I think what I was doing early in this game was I was canceling the play action by using the right trigger, and I think that makes the offensive lineman actively block worse than either of these two situations. I think the last football game I played like really intensely before this was like Madden 20, and I think back then I would always cancel the play action very early in the play so I could get both the benefits of that initial zoom that kind of tricks the other player into thinking that you're running the ball, but also I could pull it out and throw the ball very quickly as well. And I think that this game punishes you for that because it's honestly kind of cheesy. Now, is that a theory that y'all have seen as well? And if so, we might have just found one more video to make here before College Football 25 ends in June. But until then, let me know in the comments if you've been kind of seeing that when you cancel play action that you get sacked quicker as well. And hopefully I see you soon for one last experiment before College Football 26. Thanks for watching. Peace out.